And actually, if you notice, the money was put through the system on Friday. And of course, banks don't do anything over the weekend except charge you interest. And so it would credited to your account today. There we go. Monday morning. So we're going to continue on with topics for the Smart Networker. Last week we had an interesting day. We talked about what's getting in the way. And we had a couple of very interesting areas that people brought up of what gets in the way of their building the business, their success. And I'm assuming there could be a gazillion reasons for that one. If we look at our history, if I look at my, what got in the way, many things got in the way. My attitude, my behavior, my desires, my wants, my time, just kids, family. Everything can get in the way if you let it get in the way. I ran across some data many years ago in a different arena about that. And, there's a number of things one can do with regard to, did I write this down? I may not have written it down, but anyway, oh yeah, I did. So when those kind of situations come up, there's a number of things that you can do. You can, you can attack it, you can avoid it, you can flee from it, you can neglect it, or you can actually succumb to whatever the situation. So I found that overall, the best thing to do is to attack, is to go after it, is to look for the solution. So with that being said, I also found that in the sense of experience is one of the best ways to learn. Obviously, you get out there, you try something, you fall on your face, you learn from that experience. In our business, it's really simple, really, when you think about it. And if you sat down and wrote down what the business is we talk to other people about what we have to offer and their situations. And you've heard me say this before, is that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So someone sees something that you have and they like it, they're going to engage in conversation. They're going to ask you questions. They're going to want to know more, especially if they want what you have. So if you look at your own situation and you look at anything that you really wanted, what you did to go get that or go after it, or whatever it is in life and living. Could have been another human being you wanted and you went after him, that kind of a thing. But the idea is that it starts within yourself of something that's important to you. And again, if I liken that to my situation, in the beginning, and even from the time I was living at home and trying to figure out how to get out of the home, get into my own life and do the things I wanted to do, get rid of, restrictions and having to come home and all that kind of stuff. It was always based on there's a situation that needs some kind of resolution. When it came time to working, my first job was, there was a department store in Canada called Eaton's. And they had a delivery service for people. When people bought their goods and services at the store, they would come around and deliver them later. And they had these Eaton's trucks, very similar to a small version of a UPS truck or a small version of a FedEx truck. And it's like an old milk truck, and the guy would have a hat on and a uniform and so on and so forth. And he'd drive the neighborhoods and he'd drop off packages. So this was great because the doors were open. So it was an open door truck. And as a little kid, maybe 7, 8, 9 years old, I can't remember how old it was at that time, but you hop on the truck and you get to hang on and the air is blowing by you and you got the freedom of this doorway right here. And so for 3 hours on a Saturday, I could go around with this truck driver and run into the yards and deliver the packages, and he gave me 25 cents. so, so for 3 hours, I made 25 cents, but that 25 cents was enough to get me into a show. But it wasn't that. It was the thrill of driving in that truck with the open door and the air blowing through my hair. That was the fun part. That was the excitement of doing what I did. So like anything else, as you get older, these situations are similar, but they have a little bit more oomph to them. They have a little bit more seriousness to them. They have a little bit more, I don't know, gravitas, if you want to use it for lack of a better term or word. And it's all related to how important is it? How important is what you're doing? And so when I tried network marketing for 15 years. Started with Amway, did Herbalife, did Juice Plus, did I can't remember all the names right off the top of my head, but I did a lot because the idea was brilliant. And that was an important concept to understand, was the idea. And I talked about that in a recent video I did, was say, Dave, you owned a Coca-Cola machine on every street in every corner of America, and every time somebody bought a Coke, you made a nickel. Well, it was that idea that was, oh my God, what an idea. Wouldn't that be awesome? Now, if in looking at building this business, one of the things I thought about over the weekend to talk about is what would be really important for anybody to do is really understand what is your ideal set of circumstance for life and living. So if I'm going to do mentoring with somebody, one of the first things I want to know is, what's it cost to live? What do you like to do? What does it cost to do those things? How much money do you need to, to live, to survive? What's your future? What's your retirement? So on and so forth, because we've got to deal with some reality in terms of life and living. I have a neighbor, and he moved into this neighborhood about 5 years ago, maybe 2017. He bought the house next door. We live in what's called an Eichler house. And this neighborhood's all Eichler homes. And he lived in Southern California, and he wanted an Eichler home. And so he bought that one, and he remodeled the whole thing. Basically, didn't tear it down, but almost tear it down. And COVID came along, and he was a musician, and he played backup music and soundtracks and all that sort of stuff. And all of a sudden, his job was toast. So he had no choice. He was stuck between a rock and a hard place. Now, I didn't get into all the details, but he now works for Home Depot. So now, he was a construction guy. He'd built houses. He'd done remodeling, knew what to do. So yeah, I'm sure he's quickly moving up that chain in that system. But here was the point. The point of that conversation was he did what he thought he needed to do to solve his problem, and then attacked it and went out and got the job done. So it all comes down to that importance. Why am I leading up to that? Because what we do is rather simple in the sense of talking to other people, but obviously there are things that hold people back, or there are challenges that people don't quite understand, or there are areas that people don't really know what's going on. And so I thought that what we could do is address some of those areas and then do maybe some role playing, because that's where the rubber meets the road. You're going to find a lot of theorists out there that try and tell you the theory behind what to do, but the real best way to learn this business is through practical experience. And I had this situation, this is what happened, or this is what you go out there and talk to 10 people, and the likelihood is all of based on real data, not, pretend data. Anyway, so to get started, we have a thing called a chat box in this room. So what would be something you find difficult to do with regard building this business? Give me something to start with. It could be from anybody, I don't care, just an idea, thought, a question, a topic. And the realer, if that's a word, realer, I don't know if realer is a word, but the more real it is, the more real the answer and the example can be. So again, this is, what do you find difficult about doing this business?
I'll raise my hand.
Okay. Yes, Sue.
For me, it's imagining where my prospects are going to come from, and when I think of the number that I need to get in order, well, not I need to get, but the people that I bring in need to get to make the amount of money that I want to make, is sort of overwhelming.
Okay. Awesome. So I'm going to answer that question in as great a detail as I possibly can. So the first part, imagining where your people are going to come from, or the idea of who's going to join my business. So the answer to that question is, I have no clue. And I don't think anybody else does either, but I'm going to say this, that's not the important issue. And I'm going to put in, activities create results. So if we look at then the activity that would generate that kind of a person, a prospect, how would we define a prospect? Well, that would be somebody that we could talk to or get interested in what this business is all about. Well, where are those people? Well, they could be anywhere. I have found them on planes and at bus stops, in airports, in hotels, in neighborhoods, bars, restaurants, pretty much anywhere I went, grocery stores, Home Depot, they're everywhere. So what one really wants to look at is okay, well, how many people are on planet Earth? Well, there's about 8 billion, and it's going to double soon, and there's lots of people. Where do we do business? Well, we do business in 20 countries around the world, mostly Latin America, United States, Canada, and some countries in Europe. Okay. So there's your playing field. So does that mean you could talk to somebody in France? Yeah. Does that mean you could talk to somebody in Canada? Absolutely. So really, if you take a look at the populations of the areas that we do business, we're talking hundreds of millions of people that are potential for this business. Now, all of a sudden, that just opened up a huge door. They're everywhere. So then the question is then what, now we've got to look at this a little bit differently. So we know how the business works is when we talk to other people and we find out what they need and or want. And then once we find out what they need or want, and they know what we do, we then try and present to them a solution utilizing Niken, whether it be business or product. So one of the things that I looked at earlier on was, okay, what's going to be the best way for me to do this so I can find those people that might be interested in what I've got to talk to people. So that would be my first question is, don't imagine where they are, just get out and start talking to people, because who knows where they're. They're right now standing on corners of streets. They're right now sitting in restaurants. They're right now getting out of bed. They're right now going to work. They're right now driving on a freeway. They're everywhere. And if we look at society and what society does, society is got this system in play, and most of the people that are in society and in the system are doing something to earn a living, and you know, then to whatever spare time they've got left over to do what they want to do. Well, we can see by social media, or we can see in the news where the challenges are, where the problems are, where the situations are. So then where we have to be clever is in terms of our marketing efforts. So what would marketing represent for us? Well, marketing would represent a way to tell people what we do. So let's liken this to something else, another business, another endeavor of work. Say, for example, you're an attorney. So you've just come out of school, you've got an attorney. Well, who are your clients going to be? No clue. No clue until you promote and advertise. And no clue until you promote and advertise and find out what's needed and wanted. So again, the first step of developing this business is to make yourself known for who you are, what you're involved with, what you represent, and then to go and ask other people if they might be interested in some aspect of that. What I found as the easiest way for me, and again, you've got to, part of what you've got to do is find out what works for you, is I found out that the income route was very easy to talk about, because most people were working and most people wanted, you know, when they saw something better. I mean, we know what the statistics are on people's with jobs. They don't last in jobs very often. They're changing all the time, and it's migration, and they're trying to climb a ladder, and they're trying, you know, all of that stuff that we've heard about, read about, seen is going on every day. And so from that standpoint, then, you know, social chit chat, how you doing, what's going on, and asking questions that then would create an answer that you want to hear. So I ask you, well, how are you doing today? And you say, terrible. Do I really want to hear that you're doing terrible? Well, not really, but what that tells me is there's something we can handle. There's something we can resolve here. Something we can deal with. So I say, you're telling me what you do, and you work for ABC company, and I find out you've been doing this for 15 years, and how do you like your job? I hate it. Wow, interesting. So you hate what you're doing. Oh, you know, I'm thinking to myself, she hates what she's doing it 15 years. What's that show me? Stability. Well, let me ask you a question. If you could find something that was stable, and you could make, you know, X amount of dollars and create a different lifestyle, would you be interested in taking a look? And the person would say, well, yeah, I'd be interested in taking a look. And just a sec. So I'm asking questions to find out where I can take this. Now, here's what I know, Sue, and this is really important. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. On my screen right beside you is a guy by the name of Leo LeMay. Now, Leo's style, what Leo does, he finds people that become interested in what he has by doing something. Communication, product demonstration, all of that kind of stuff. And so from the view of getting results, his results came about because he put himself out there to engage in conversation without expectation, or maybe with expectation. I mean, again, you can go in with intention, desire, all of those kind of things, but you've got to go through the motion. So the moral of this story is you've got to go out there and communicate to other people. And in that exercise, you will develop and figure out what works for you and what doesn't. Plain and simple. And then now let's look at the other side of this mechanic of building this business and how that works. And then you can apply yourself to this is what causes you to act or do. It's your interest in what it is you're acting upon. So therefore, what's your job is to paint a picture that somebody else can see and get interested in taking on. Now, I have some in my book, Vesta, the Smart Networker, in chapter 3 and chapter 4. Well, chapter 3 is asking questions and listening. Chapter 4 is the secret, not the secret, but is the, if you have and I'll give you this for the sake of it, doesn't really matter, but it's there. Anybody that has a problem that's unresolved, it's floating around between your ears all the time. Doesn't go away. Doesn't matter what the problem is, doesn't go away. And it can come to this, it may get buried. Like I said, there were a number of things that can happen to a problem. You can attack them, avoid them, flee from them, neglect them, or you can succumb to them. So if you have a problem in life or living or with anything, and you're not dealing with it, because of you don't know what to do, you don't know how to do it, you don't know where to go, you haven't figured out a solution, so you kind of push it away and bury it and not deal with it, whatever the case may be, it's not going anywhere. It may for the moment temporarily seem like it's out of sight, but here's what I know. So let's say that the problem that one has is with their career, what they're doing and the money they're making, the lifestyle they're living, and they're not doing what they really wanted to do. And they're not doing what they really thought they could do to, they're unhappy or whatever the case may be. And you come along and you say to them, well, would you be interested in making an extra $10,000 a month? What do you think is going to come to the surface instantaneously? That problem. Because they've been trying to find a solution the whole time. And nothing's come along to provide that solution, because that's what we do as human beings. We solve problems. We solve problems. So something comes along, your plumbing doesn't work. Do you just let it fall apart? No, you call a plumber. Your refrigerator, it runs out of food. Do you just let it run out of food, or no, do you solve the problem, go to the grocery store and get food? Your car runs out of gas. Do you just let it run out of gas and that's it? Or do you go to the gas station and fill it up? You get the message. So, but if it's an area that you can't solve, it won't go away until you solve it. So therefore, it's always going to be there. So what I found, and this was fascinating, was that, okay, I'm trying to build a business. What's the business made up of? Made up of people that are also trying to build a business. I really want you to understand that that's what this is. It's a business of people that are making a business enterprise. And what's involved in that business? Well, there's a number of things. There's selling product, there's creating a customer base, there's servicing those customers, there's building a distribution network and distributors in their network. And that's truly the lion's share of this business. And so that's what you do. Well, in order for that to work, other people have to be involved. So therefore, you need like-minded people. There's no question about it. So if you and I are on the same page, you want to make money, I want to make money, you want to live a better life, I want to live a better life, then what are we going to talk about? How do we do that? Who do we talk to? Where do we go? How do we get this thing going, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then it becomes fun. Then it becomes a game, and the aspect of a game is simply unknown barriers that you can overcome. So the key is really understanding what you want and really understanding what that means. Now, let's jump into the second part of your question of what do you find difficult? The number of people I need to get it is kind of overwhelming. Well, in all of what I've got on daverolf.com, Take a Look series, Building Success series, Monday Morning Zooms, the Smart Networker, the most people you need is 3 in any of the schematics that I've done. It's not how many you get, it's how many become involved in your structure and how you teach those people. See, if we look at your compensation plan, leadership bonus pays 6 levels, 6%. Well, just get a piece of paper and a pencil and go 6 by 6, 6 levels, and see how many people you've got in your organization. Go 6 by 3, go 6 by 2, go 6, whatever it is you want to multiply out. You can have organizations of all sizes. I mean, just all sizes. I mean, it's just, there is no, majority of my business was on my 4th, 5th, and 6th level. 95% of my income came from those levels, not my 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So if we understand that, then we understand that, okay, I think you listened to a video because you talked to me about it. It's, I'm new to this business. What does it take? How do, parts A and B. And there was a schematic in that which showed the numbers that can happen and how it grows and how it develops. And so you find 3 is the concept. Maybe you find 4, maybe you find 6, it doesn't matter. I want you to understand the concept of structure first. Then the object of that is they do the same thing. That's the object. But I'm going to put a big but here. It's who helps make sure that happens. You do. See, a big fallacy of this business was you recruited people and you sat back and watched them go to work or not. No, it's your business. You bring somebody in, then help them become successful. The more successful they are, the more successful you became. And I saw this early on in my career. I had a guy that became a diamond before me. And I thought to myself, wow, this is fascinating. And then I said, the more diamonds and royal diamonds I can create, the better off I'm going to be. Whether I'm a diamond or not doesn't matter, because it really didn't. As long as I got paid on what they did, that was the key issue. So it's really important to understand how this business works so that you focus your attention in the right area. So you go out and you figure out the activities that you can get into talking to somebody else and finding out what's needed and or wanted. Now, no rhyme or reason to how many, what numbers. There's no secret number. There's no secret code. There's no, there isn't anything. You have to determine what's real for you. And I'll give you an example of that. So I was in the investment arena and I went to work for this company. You've probably heard this story before, but I was given these cards from Dun & Bradstreet, told to dial them up. Presentation was on the wall, make the presentation, send them a package. A week later, call them back, make the official presentation, close the sale. No idea who was going to come in. Dialed 110, 100 dials a day to maybe talk to 20 people, to maybe send out 5 or 6 packages, to then later talk to maybe 2 or 3 to actually make a full presentation a week later. So I did that First sale I made was after 2 weeks, was for $1,500. That was fine. I did this for a while. It was ups and downs. Average probably $2,500, $22,000 a week. I wanted to make more. What do I do? So I looked at all the stuff that I was doing. And then I said, well, maybe I'll just put a little bit more time and dial a few more numbers. Well, I increased the dials by 10%. I went from 100 to 110. And I doubled my income. I didn't double the number of calls. I increased it by 10%. But, you know, I got that result done. And so I figured it out by trial and error, what I needed to do. And I'm going to say this to all of you. That's what you got to do. In other words, how does it work? Well, it works when we go talk to people. We tell them what we're involved with, what we do, what we represent. We ask them what they need and want. We find out if we can provide them what we need and want. If we can, we proceed. If we can't, we don't. Go on to the next person. I mean, it's pretty much that cut and dry. And not everyone's going to respond to what you do, and not everyone's going to respond to the products that you have. And so understand that. So it then becomes a bit of a numbers proposition. Now, how do you get better at it? Well, you got to figure out where you're starting from, what you can do, what is happening. So you know, and again, you're told what to do here. You're given the idea, well, create a list of people to go talk to. So you go create a list, you go talk to them, and some respond, some don't respond. Maybe you get some action, maybe you don't get some action. Whatever result you get is the result you get. So you've got two things that you can do with that. You can evaluate what you did and improve on it, or change it or tweak it, and then go do it again. But not everybody has an unlimited list of people to talk to that they know. Most people have kind of got a warm market of a certain size. So you really want to be good. So I added another element in there, which I thought was really important, was you got to learn what to say. So all of the jobs that I had growing up in the sales arena that involved dealing with other people that you were trying to get them to acquire what you had, we were given scripts. And the scripts were proven. And the scripts worked. So it was kind of like, okay, dummy proof. So this is what guys use to become successful. I'm in the insurance industry, and the same thing. In order to, when you get started in the insurance industry, they give you scripts to learn how to contact people, how to approach people, how to knock on, all of that sort of stuff. And prior to you getting started, you practice doing the scripts. Huh, what a novel idea. So you practice what to say. Now, I learned over time that that was so valuable. And, you know, from the first time I had to make a presentation, the first time I had to call somebody up, I was, you know, nervous Nilly. But after I knew here was the key. After I knew what to say under almost any circumstance, it was a piece of cake. It was just like baking, being a professional baker and baking a top-notch chocolate cake or something, or making Thanksgiving dinner or whatever. Or you go into a mechanic that's been in the business for 30 years with your car that's making some weird noise, and he listens to it and says, oh, I know what that is. You know, it's experience is the key here. So experience allows you to then solve the challenge or present the right information that's needed and wanted. And I really want you to understand that. So part one is, you know, if you've got a list of people you can talk to, then you start there. If you don't have that, then there are many ways to talk to people you don't know. You can do surveys, you can do advertising, you can go stand on the street corner, you can go to hotels, you can go to restaurants, you can go to supermarkets, and you engage in conversation. And the first way I always did it was, hi, what brings you here? And here was the interesting thing. People who like to communicate, communicate. If you're out and about and you tell somebody, God, that was really cool, or you look great, or you've got this huge smile on your face, you made me smile, and they like to smile or they like to communicate, they're going to talk back at you. And a conversation is going to start just like that. And once you're in a conversation, then you can ask questions, and those questions can direct you to where you want to go. You know, do you like this store? Is this your favorite store? Have you ever gone over there? Do you want to do that? What do you do? Yeah, I mean, everything. And if somebody wants to answer, they'll answer. If they don't want to answer, they don't answer. So I remember a platinum distributor I had that was that I created, built, was a neighbor that I had no idea was ever going to do this business. I lived in a very nice neighborhood, and he was building a home. We were in a, you know, it was a multi-million-dollar home, and I like construction. So I went and talked to him about construction. I had a problem with my house. I was looking for a general contractor. I wanted to see if there was some way of. Little did I know that he became. We worked together for 3 years, he and his wife, and he became a platinum distributor. And one of my last legs of going Royal Diamond and building my empire, and that leg is still going today, 30 years or 20 years later, whatever the number is. I didn't know that. I had no clue that that was going to happen. But what I was willing to go out there and talk to other people and get the job done. And that was the key issue. So there's step one, is the willingness to just get out there. You can't control what other people do, but you can control what they see. You can control the information. You can control what they look at. You can control how well you get across. Remember this, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and that's how it works. So when somebody sees something that they think can resolve the problems that they have, then they'll get involved. And that's how I don't care who you talk to in this business, but it'll all boil down to that they saw something that they thought could get them what they wanted. So they went to work. They got involved. Now, there is no such thing as failure. And it's just simply not doing enough of what you need to do, or not learning what you need to do, or not engaging for what you, I mean, that's the you, not everybody, but you need to do. So you'll have situations, you'll be on a call and you'll hear some doctor on there talking about his success. Well, you got to look at that and understand, well, number one, he's a doctor. Number two, he probably has a gazillion clients. He's in a very, official position. And what he says carries a lot of weight. It's not a normal situation, it's an unusual. So you have to understand that. So your situation could be completely different. Well, you don't have clients. You're not a doctor. You don't have, so you have to figure out your way. I didn't have that. What I decided to do was focus on helping others make money. That's where I spend all my time. Where I made, and I had one of the largest organizations in Nika. And so it doesn't mean that what I did is good or bad or indifferent. It's what I did. And that's what I looked for. And therefore, that's what I attracted. Just like if you're a product person and you sell lots of product. Well, the reason why you sell product is, number one, you like to sell product. You're good at it. You know the information, and you attract that because that's what you put out there. Fantastic. Now, that wasn't who I was, but that doesn't mean that that's who you can't be, or you cannot, so on. Because I had plenty of people in my organization. So I learned another valuable lesson, that success in this business is helping others get what they want. So if your focus is right, then you're focused on dealing with other people and helping them understand what they need to do to get what they want. And in that process, based on the way this business works, you'll get what you want. So then that opened up huge doors, absolutely huge doors into talking to other people. Because then I could intelligently present numbers of solutions. It depended on circumstance. So I didn't have to always be focused on the business. If it didn't work on the business, and I could then focus on the retail side of the business, or I could maybe somebody wanted to do this for social benefits. Fine. Who do you know? Let's get them involved. Maybe they know somebody that wants to play. Now, I had an organization that there was many thousands of people. So there were lots of different walks of life going on in that structure. So I was able to walk around that structure and find those people that was on the same page as me. And by helping them understand what they could do to better their condition, I grew like a weed. Now, here's where I found another wonderful benefit. It's the bottom of your organization that's the weakest, because there's nobody underneath them. There's no support system. And the viewpoint that is really important is that you see something going on in your organization below you. If you don't, you're toast in the long run. So covered a lot of ground on those two questions, but I think they're very, what you opened the door for is very important. So we'll end off on that for today's question. I'll end off the recording and then we'll get into a Q&A. So here we go. Stop recording.